Sal from To The Bigs here, your number one source for everything Major League Baseball prospects. We find these guys first, we find them early, so follow us on social media, check us out on tothebigs.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to the email blast on our website as well. A bunch of the top 10 prospect positions for MLB Pipeline have been released, and a lot of these guys weren't there last year, but we called them out all year, and now they're up there. So find them first, know the guys that you want to draft in your fantasy leagues, who you want to collect as Bowman, prospect collectors. ToTheBigs.com has everything you need. Today, 3 bold fantasy baseball predictions for prospects. These are 3 prospects that will either be starting opening day or be up in the pros early on in the season, and I'm going to give you bold fantasy predictions for 3 of them. Kyle Teel, Chicago White Sox, catcher. He will be a starting catcher in 12-team fantasy leagues, meaning top 12 in Major League Baseball from the time he comes up. He had a 288, 386, 433 slash in 500 at-bats, plate appearances last year in AA and AAA. I love his plate discipline. He walks enough. The power is there, and the defense is very good. So the White Sox are obviously rebuilding. They have no issues with losing games next year. He'll go through ups and downs as almost every rookie does. So I think the White Sox will give him that long leash, and he'll be able to produce at a high level. You look at the catchers in fantasy baseball, it is a very, very short list. William Contreras, Adley Rutschman, Will Smith are probably the top 3 across consensus, across all these rankings. Then you have like Diaz, O'Hoppe, Francisco Alvarez. I think Austin Wells will be pretty solid this year for the Yankees. But again, there's plenty of room for him to slide right in there and be a top 12 guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a 250, 17, 18 homer, 65 RBI type of guy. That'll finish top 12 as a catcher, and obviously a great guy to stash in leagues for Dynasty. Next up, the best draft pick in this past draft, Nick Kurtz, Athletics. I think that from the time he comes up, he will be a top 3 first baseman in fantasy production. Now, I know that sounds crazy. There's a lot of good first basemen, but I think this guy is MLB ready. He led the nation in walks at Vanderbilt last year. He had the highest OPS across all minor league baseball prospects in the 50 at-bats that he had, which I know is a small amount, but it was his pro debut, and he just came up, and he was already showing that he's an absolute stud and an unbelievable at-bat. 25% walk rate, the power's there, the contact's there. The only issue I have with him that everybody has with him, and probably the only reason he wasn't the number 1 overall pick, is injuries. He has a lot of lower body issues, which is not great for a big-bodied first baseman. However, I think he's going to stay healthy. I think he'll have a full spring with the strength and conditioning at a pro level. I think he will be able to stay healthy. And I don't think he'll be up opening day, but very shortly after the Athletics are looking to rebuild and made some great offseason moves. So they're not as much as the White Sox. They will compete and may win a pretty good amount of games, but Nick Kurtz is that good that he'll come in and be an impact player in the middle of that lineup. Give me 265, 25 homers, 85 RBI from the time he's up. Last but not least, my boldest take and my favorite prospect that has fallen through the cracks. He's still a top 10 prospect, but a lot of people, for some reason, have just forgotten about him because of the fact that he's been injured and saw the majors for a very short period of time, but he's still eligible to be a rookie. Jordan Lawler will have more fantasy points at shortstop than Corey Seager. Corey Seager is not going to play the whole season. Out of the last 5 seasons, he's only had 120 plus games in 3 of them and barely 120 in 2 of those. So he's really only played 150 plus games once. I think Lawler is going to come back from this injury healthy, ready to go. Shortstop's open. Perdomo is not going to be the shortstop for the year for the Diamondbacks. Lawler, I said 2 years ago, could be a 270, 25 homer, 85 RBI guy. I still think that's the case. His defense is great. I think he will even add the stolen bases back, where the last few years he hasn't stolen as much in the minors because of the injuries, but he stole 30 plus bags back-to-back seasons in the early 2020s. So I really do think that this guy can come in and have that stat line, maybe even add 10 to 15 stolen bases and be an absolute stud. Those are my 3 bold fantasy takes. If you are drafting this year, keep an eye out for Kyle Teal, Nick Kurtz, and Jordan Lawler. Follow us on social media. Reach out to us if you have any questions, and subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Stay tuned for more bold fantasy takes and other prospect predictions coming throughout the winter.